Today on Homeworthy, we're taking you to Queens, New York for a look inside the one-of-a-kind Laundromat home of production designer and artist Samson Dahl. Using his unique artistic touch and an eye for a bargain, Samson has transformed this former laundromat into an eclectic shared space for New York creatives and a place he calls home. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Samson Dahl. Welcome to my Laundromat home in Maspeth, Queens. Please come in. I'm Samson Dahl. I typically work in production and set design. I also throw shows here. I host artists and events and readings, screenings, things of that sort. I've been doing this right here for about 6 years. Before this, I was in a warehouse doing similar things. Before that, I was in a house doing similar things. I've grown up throwing shows, throwing parties, throwing events. My mother did the same. I didn't choose a laundromat per se. I have always been interested in commercial spaces. The baseline of a commercial space is that when you enter it as a tenant, it is to be completely empty. It's to be completely clean so you can do whatever you want in there. And so I've always loved commercial spaces for that reason. I find a lot of comfort in retail spaces. I love walking into random stores. I personally don't like spending a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money. I don't feel frivolous with my money, but I love seeing how people decorate stores. I always wanted to get a storefront where it was the image of a retail space. It tricked people who were looking in off the sidewalk into thinking it was a bar or a store or something of that sort. And so they would come in freely. You know, I leave the door open during the day, so they would come in freely and they'd say, "What is this?" And I'd say, "Would you like some tea?" Or "Have you heard this album?" You know, I love tricking people who think that they might have to spend some money into just sitting down and enjoying themselves. Welcome to my home. This is Brothers Wash and Dryer, the Laundromat. I've had at least 7 organs in my life. I think all free. On Craigslist, they're everywhere. You can find them. My house is obviously littered with knickknacks. If you look right here, there's a T-Rex not particularly enjoying the way that he looks in the mirror, but he's examining himself. He's having a bit of a breakdown. I've got my Cape Canaveral lighthouse always guiding the way at the end of the night. I kiss it goodnight. This is my globe. This is where I decide where I'm gonna go next. India, sure. This is the oldest thing I have in here. This is coal from West Virginia. There's a lot of history here, both politically and just in terms of the earth. This is everywhere. There might be a diamond inside, who knows? I have yet to break it open. It's constantly crumbling anyway, so I guess in maybe 10,000 years or so, maybe it'll be small enough to where I can see the diamond. This is a little cactus pod. These actually pop up all the time, like every spring in different plants around my house, because these seeds are they crumble right off, and wherever they crumble, they just, as long as there's water, soil or something, they just keep on growing. It's this incredible kind of succulent thing. I know succulents aren't so in vogue anymore, but this one's gorgeous. These are my records. I have more over there, but a lot of these came from an abandoned car. I've always liked, you know, looking for records, but again, I don't like spending a whole lot of money on anything. So I end up looking for free things or things for $1, and almost all of these, a lot of them being, you know, kind of like classic jazz albums. This is Stanley Turrentine. Let's see, we got Herbie Hancock right here. A lot of these came from, oh, lovely, Sonny's dead. A lot of these came from an abandoned car on Metropolitan Avenue over there outside of a junkyard. It was condemned, it was going to be crushed. And so I would pass it on the way to work, and in the morning, you know, I'd take a couple records. It was like, maybe someone's coming back for it. In the evening, I'd pass it, take a couple records. Maybe someone's coming back for it. 3 days of this, and I was like, okay, this car is going to be crushed, and these records along with it. So I called my neighbor. He came out with his van. We put them all in the van, and they've been here ever since. And it is an incredible kind of archive of black jazz and soul, especially kind of highlighted in Harlem in the 60s and 70s. And there's a ton of New York, Puerto Rican music that I have over there as well. It's like kind of this incredible library of New York, especially Manhattan and the Bronx in the 60s and 70s. And so I'll carry it with me wherever I go next. This evil cat, he's also from the street. When I got him, he had totally black eyes, so I painted these white things to make him like a little bit more approachable. But it definitely gives a lot of people the heebie-jeebies. This is Catman. I made this out of polymer clay. I made this lamp out of driftwood. Driftwood makes great lamps. I'm sure you know, it's probably a Pinterest trend by now, or Etsy or something like this. But, you know, all you have to do is drill a hole on one side and a hole on another side. Get a lamp with a cord, you know, not connected to anything, and just run the wire right through the thing, reattach it up here, and you have a lamp that can be styled in many different directions. And of course, the motto of my life, children are the treasures of life. It's beautiful 1960s felt. I think someone colored it themselves. It must have been some sort of a thing that you got from Kohl's or some like store, Sears in the 60s. I think this is from Peru. This is also found on the street. I love woven stuff. I love needlepoint things. You know, there's a few of them around here. Anything made by hand, like kind of like textural paintings that aren't even made with paint, that aren't even made with messy materials. They're made with just fabric. It's just incredible to me. One of the greatest albums ever, never mind the bollocks, Sex Pistols. This was made by my friend Sam, Samantha Aberback. She's an incredible knit maker. She makes bikinis, she makes skirts, she makes hats, many other things, all out of crocheted material. She really does such an incredible job. I think I have some other things of hers here. Some great books here: Sex Technique for Husband and Wife, Shame and Guilt and Neurosis, paired with each other. Incredible combination. Really softens the palate, you know. We have a husband and wife right here. This light, an incredible light to use in case of emergency. This is what I put on when I'm in a situation of great distress. I say, please anyone, help, help, help. And then when I'm fine, I put it like that so everyone knows the situation has been resolved. This is my bartender. I love stuff like this. My corn candle, gorgeous corn candle. I burned it a few times, and I like it to be full more than I like it to be gone. So I decided I will never burn it again. I'll just keep it as it is because I don't want it to go away. And it looks great right now. It looks like you took a great big bite out of both the stalk and the corn. And then you decided to set it aside. This is my ode to the greatest form of American bureaucracy, the Postal Service, the one I am most in support of, not only because my grandmother was a Postal Service delivery driver for quite some time, but also because they got incredibly hard jobs, and I have so much respect for the work that they do. Marriage, a vow to please one another. I am not married, but incredible needlepoint again, and an incredible phrase. I found these dolphins And I affixed them to this circle many years ago. I don't really know why, but it looks nice, and it also holds up this mirror. Everything in here is kind of like that. Like, some things are decorations, and then some things are also just ways that I've kind of sneakily made things work in here, because it's a shoddily designed and shoddily built place. It's kind of falling apart. And so you know, it was either this or an ugly plank of wood, and I chose this instead, and I made it work. This is the sign from the laundromat in the 80s. It is also kind of decaying, but it's an incredible sign. I found it in the basement. My landlord was not happy that I took it from the basement, but it was getting rained on. It was, you know, getting soaked. It was nasty. And so it needed a new home, or it needed the same home. Actually, it needed a return home. So I put it up. This marlin has fallen many times. He is beat up. But again, I love animated objects. I love inanimate animals, inanimate people, little figurines, anything, like my bartender, like the couple in the car, like Catman, like the turtle. I love things that look like living things but are not, because to me they are kind of still alive. Especially this guy. This guy is one of the most alive, non-alive things I have in here. Look at him, he dances. So I actually used to sleep right here. I had a lofted bed that went right up here, and I would wake up and I'd look out this window. But as I was throwing more shows, as I was hitting more home runs, I needed to sleep in a little bit more of a discreet way. So I disassembled the bed and I started to sleep in the back room over there. But yeah, this used to be kind of full of this big bulky wood frame bed that you may have seen in another video of this space. But now it's kind of just like this sitting and lounge area. And also what I didn't address before is this laundry machine. This is where I do my laundry. That's why my blankets are on top of it now. They're clean. They're so clean. They smell great. And I take it out of here and I hang the laundry up here along the ceiling, underneath the pipes. In the winter, it's great because the pipes get hot and they just dry the clothes immediately. This is a fake wall. It was from some sort of film set. You know, this is the kind of stuff that I build for work. It's flats, fake walls, things. This looks like a sound panel. It is not a sound panel. The sound goes right through it. It's completely hollow. It's just made of Luan and little 1x3 battens. My grandmother gave me this because she felt it was too scary. But this is Medusa. It was made in Greece, probably like in the 60s or 70s. It's all handmade. It's gorgeous. My grandmother thought it was evil, but I don't know. I had a friend recently tell me that this place has a knack for cleansing cursed objects. And so maybe she was cursed at one point, but now she's just a friend. Look, she's holding my hand. She's not pulling away at all. I light incense beneath her. She doesn't even flare her nostrils or freak out. There's no demon in her. She's all right. She's all right. I swear. She's not going to hurt you. She's okay. I was passing this house. This couple was moving out. I saw this painting and I said, God, what a beautiful painting. And this, you know, bless the mother's heart. But this young man said, my mother painted it and I've seen it too much. You can have it. And so honestly, that guy sucks. Why would he do that? It's a beautiful painting. His mother made it. Give it to your grandchildren. But you know, I was happy to take it as opposed to it going in the trash. I say shame on that guy, but I will immortalize this thing. It is one of my favorite paintings. It's one of the only things painted in here that I didn't paint. But you know, it looks like an abstract painting, and then you look and you realize that all these people are enjoying themselves on the beach. It's like this, I hate talking about art. I hate when people talk about art. So I don't want to talk about this outside of just saying that it's perfect. It's a perfect painting. One of the most perfect paintings I've ever seen. My dad got me this banjo when I was 18. not really good at playing the banjo, but I do love the sound. It's just the most resonant string instrument, really, really cool. It's got a snare drum on it. Who thought of that? Gorgeous. This is my girlfriend, right here, Bailey. She used to live here with me. Now we're about to move in to another place together. But I painted her, this was maybe back in 2018. I painted her on this plank of wood, and I put the mirror next to it so I could always, before I walk out the door, see myself with her. If you look in the mirror as you're walking out, you can see your face next to her face. I did it for whatever reason, because I love her. This is how I get the drums down. These are my stands. There's a floor tom, a kick, and a snare. Cymbals are down there, but almost everything you need to play a drum set, a functioning rock and roll drum kit, is all right here. I also have a plethora of things up there. Couldn't even tell you what they all are, but moving out this week, I'm definitely going to find a lot of stuff that I forgot about up there, because when I don't want to think about something, I take it like this, and I go like that. That'll be up there for a couple years. I've lived here almost 6 years. I think I've had 18 people stay with me while I've been here. All those people staying anywhere between a month and 6 months. So there's been a lot of overlap between roommates, and now finally I'm leaving. I'm not going to abandon the space, at least that's not my intention. I'd like to keep hosting people who are passing through town, also hosting video shoots and poetry readings and things of that sort. It's been a roller coaster figuring out what works in this space. You know, sometimes a party will get too raucous, sometimes a reading will not have a great audience turnout. Sometimes it's too few, sometimes it's too much. And so I hope to use that knowledge as I continue on to inform the space with like even more successful events, even more kind of fluid gatherings. Almost over 6 years, almost nothing has been a disaster, but I think I know better after all this time how to throw an even more intentional gathering that's kind of suited for this space, because it's a small space. There's a silent aesthetic that I ascribe to. I couldn't draw it out on paper for you. It's somewhere between bohemian and gypsy and antique and bourgeois. I don't know. It's when I look at something, I know that it's not me. It's just like painting. You know, I paint a lot, and sometimes I'll try to paint in another style. Sometimes I'll try to make a song in another style. I'll try to mimic someone else. But when I step back and I look at it, it is always kind of solidly me. And I have always struggled to say in any sort of collected statement what solidly me means. But looking at the space and looking at my paintings and reading things that I've written, it all falls under a similar kind of absurd lens. I'm also incredibly humbled by the things that just show up here. I mean, half the stuff you see in here is free. It's stuff that's shown up off the street, or, you know, after 3-4 years of doing this, people started to just show up with different gifts. You know, this clown head that you might see over here was just dropped off. It was from Coney Island in the 1930s, and my neighbor just dropped it off on the sidewalk one day. He's like, I thought you'd like this. There's many things like that that are just things that were trash, things that were on the sidewalk, things that were in people's basements, that they were like, I saw this and I knew you would like it. And most of the time they're right. There's very few times that people have brought over a gift or an artifact and I've said, I'm sorry, I really don't need that. Like, people know what I want better than I do a lot of times, and maybe that's just a testament to the amount of things that I actually like, you know. So much of the design in here has also been informed by seeing how people come into a space, you know. I watch people when they come in, where they kind of stop and where they might want a seat. And so next time after they leave that night, I go, okay, well, there needs to be a seat over here, because people kind of congregated in this area for whatever reason, and there weren't enough seating places, you know? And so this is, what you see here is 6 years of understanding how people fill this room and how people enjoy themselves in this room. I love to constantly be reorganizing and redecorating. And for as long as I'm here, I'll never stop. That's my projector screen. It used to belong to an artist called Jeff Koons. I don't like Jeff Koons. I don't support Jeff Koons. He makes dumb balloon creatures. I don't like him. But this used to belong to him in his studio. It remained in the studio, and then some people I knew moved into that studio, and they'd been there for a long time, and they sold it to me for, I think, $50 when they were moving out. It's 12 feet wide. I can't even fill the screen with the projector that I have right there. You'd have to get very far away from this thing to fill the screen. It's huge. It's beautiful. I think it's from the 50s. It's my favorite projector screen I've ever had. I don't think I'd ever sell it. This is where I've been sleeping for the past few months. I got rid of the bed in an effort to encourage myself to move on, to stop living here, to move somewhere else. And as of today, actually, I will be signing a lease on a new apartment. I was sleeping here the past 3 months, but I knew I needed to leave. I knew I needed to give this space to other people, to let people kind of come in. I'm still gonna, be throwing shows here, but I don't need to be sleeping on the couch. I don't need to be sleeping in a bed in there. The bed's gone from there. That was the bedroom. Now it's just a little studio room. This couch has been fine. I don't particularly like this couch, but it's a good color. And it's not bad to sleep on too. This makes it easy. Spread my arms out when I'm sleeping. And it's not terrible on my back either. But I don't want to sleep on a couch. I want to sleep with the love of my life. I want to sleep in a house, and I want to make this place more of an inviting atmosphere for other people. And I always felt that me living here was kind of a novel part of the space that actually detracted from other people's ability to kind of exist and experiment with the space. And so I want to open up to other people. This is a banana. Someone left it here. This is my friend's publication. It's called The Goose Egg. Local New York people-run paper. Incredible. Look it up if you'd like. Goose Egg. This is issue 2. I think they're on to issue 3 now. They had their release party here. That's the kind of stuff I want to do more of. Like homemade magazine, newspaper, release parties. Perfect. This is this great incense pagoda. The top to it is somewhere, but this is one of the older things I have in here. It's from, I think, the mid-19th century from Japan. Gorgeous. This is my favorite era of music. This is one of my favorite years in music, 1977. This is James Taylor, Linda Ronstadt, and Peter Asher. Also, Graham Parker for bonus. And Steely Dan up there in the corner. Also an article by Cameron Crowe. I don't know if that means anything to anyone watching this, but all those people have played a part in my understanding of the music that I love. And I love Rolling Stone magazine, especially when it used to be printed on soft paper like this. I love old magazines. This is a fundraiser we're having tonight to keep this place alive. A bunch of people will be performing. I'm sure I'll be very stressed out. It'll be a long day. It's supposed to rain. We have, looks like 11 performances. We'll see if they all show up. There will be food and drinks. It's a really tall order for a space this small, but I think we'll make it through. I need to raise money to cover the rent here if I am to keep this going and also pay rent at another apartment. This is my turf. I bought this for a music video that I designed a few months ago. It is the easiest carpet to clean that I've ever had. It's plastic. It vacuums right up. Nothing gets particularly stuck to it. It all just comes right off. I can take a vacuum over it and everything just comes right up. It is an incredibly kind of self-irrigating material. I can pick it up, I can shake it off outside. It's not fabric. You know, I never thought I'd love something plastic so much. And it also feels like being outside, especially when the door's open. I let the breeze flow in and I just lay on my grass and I love my life. I love my life more than I ever have on this floor with the grass here. Perhaps I'll find a better arrangement someday, but I love the grass for now. And also, it's great for kicking a ball around. I grew up very poor in between Minnesota and Texas, and I grew up with a single mom, and she was incredibly resourceful. She was homeless shortly before I was born, and so she was very accustomed to dumpster diving, kind of being an expert scavenger. And so I would be in dumpsters with my mom as a kid, and we'd be picking out things that were just colorful, things that were shiny, things that would kind of highlight the home. Yeah, I'm excited to tell people after this about what it was like to live in a storefront, you know, to have people come up to your door expecting to buy something, expecting to just walk in, you know, especially late at night. Oftentimes I'll have people very confidently walk in here. I've been sitting on the front step before and had people step over me because they think that I'm just a patron here as well. I hope most importantly to impart that kind of sense of openness, that sense that, you know, people are not scary, especially when you have something disarming to offer, you know. There's a way to approach every person in this world, no matter how violent, no matter how irate. There's a place where they feel comfortable. And sometimes it just takes a certain degree of confusion to make someone feel comfortable. This table used to look a lot better. I put it outside for a little bit because I thought it would be nice outdoor seating. Not acknowledging that the bottom of the Formica that is no longer here was particle board, and it got all blown up and twisted and warped, and I had to throw out that portion. So I've told myself that I will put a new Formica table on here, but until that point I have this old door from a vintage mid-century modern cabinet that I just secured to it with a clamp. There's a lot of stuff like that in here that is, you know, kind of a hodgepodge of things that were nicer, and I'm making them work now. I don't mind the way this looks though. I think it's kind of cool. I like this yellow. I like this kind of soft wood. I love watching the way things age. You know, as much as I love things that are in good condition, I also love seeing the way that things fall apart as well. This says screening room. It's from some HBO commercial. Again, a lot of the things in here are leftover props and set pieces. But this hand is from my friend's studio. Here's some leftover laundry, still drying. That's how I hang my laundry. This face is from a real doll, if you know what that is. I've never purchased a real doll, but I did find one on the sidewalk. I cleaned it, and I have the frame for it over there, but the face is so cool. This is my little music station where I play all of my songs through, and when I have shows, I'll put a microphone through these speakers up here. I'll run a mixer into this stereo. Yeah, I got a lot of loose tapes. My record player is actually broken right now, which is a real shame. It usually is up here, but I have to fix it. There's a rubber band that snapped inside. So I've been relying on tapes a lot recently. This was part of a sculpture, but she broke, and so all I have now are chopstick hands in the sushi, which is still nice, but she was really beautiful. I loved the woman who was eating the sushi. This is a picture of one of my favorite people I've ever met. I worked with him for a little bit, Dustin Hoffman, on this film a couple years ago, and I felt like he was my grandfather. One of the greatest heartbreaks of my life was exiting the workplace after working with Dustin Hoffman and realizing that I would never be able to just call him up. I was like, man, you know, I don't often get very starstruck, but I love Dustin Hoffman so much, and I'm a little heartbroken that we can't talk after working together. But you know, that's the That is the toils of professionalism, I suppose. But Dustin Hoffman, if you're watching this, I'd love to hang out again. I really, really enjoyed meeting you, and I really enjoyed hanging out. But, you know, I understand. This is the way things go. This is Napoleon Dynamite, a childhood hero of mine. This is a beautiful handmade donkey. I don't know where it came from, but it's all chiseled out. It's really, really gorgeous. This guy, so cool. This is another one of these fake sound panels from a set that I put up. There's a whole bunch of things behind here too. I have a stop sign and a painting. I think the wall is painted back there. But most importantly, this clown. This clown is from Coney Island from the 1930s. My neighbor figured that I would like it, and so he dropped it off. He had it on his fence for many years, and I told him I loved it. And he said, well, it can be yours for $400. And I said, well, I don't have $400, but it's a beautiful clown. You enjoy it. And then 4 years later, it showed up outside my door. He dropped it off. He said, I figured, you know, it should find a better home now. I think he's moving to Florida, as a lot of people in Queens do once they get above 80 years old. But he gave me this clown, and I love this clown. And as my friend said, if an object was cursed before it came in here, it's surely cleansed now. And so, God bless this clown. You are not cursed. Probably shouldn't kiss lead paint, but he's gorgeous. This is a Teletubbies blanket. I love this Teletubbies blanket. I found it at the Goodwill bins for about 50 cents. But look at that scooter. Gorgeous. The use of color on this blanket, perfect. It's 100% acrylic. This 3-tiered console was used as Dustin Hoffman's stereo console in the movie, so that's why I have his picture on it as well. Because in the movie, this was his, and in real life, it's mine. But I always want to pay tribute to Dustin, my great lost friend. Oftentimes, when people enter, they'll say, "How did you do this?" Which is flattering, because I think the intention is to create a certain sort of sense of confusion that ideally dwindles into comfort once you become exhausted by confusion. The greatest compliment is the other side of that confusion, that situation where they eventually just kind of fall into a chair. The greatest compliment is someone seeing a stranger end up like this, just enjoying themselves. That's the greatest compliment. And it's happened often. It happens many times a week. I love seeing people just fall into joy and leisure here. This is my favorite chair I've ever owned. It's so gorgeous. What a crazy shape. So low to the ground, so wide, so comfy, so great for hanging your legs over, thinking about while you hold your duck, your mallard. This is also happens to be under the projector, and the screen is over there, so oftentimes this is like my movie chair. This is Braulio. This is my son. I got him in Vilnius, Lithuania a couple weeks ago. I went to Europe to walk around and I found Braulio and I took him home. But look at that. Don't we all wish we could do this? These are my movies. Most of them were free as well. I collected them. I also have various little goodies in here. This is a bag of chips that I made. There's no chips in here anymore. They were eaten. But this was for a short film that I'm releasing right now called Papa Cheetaman. It's it's kind of a depiction of this place where I play this guy, you know, who has a bunch of children in here and he needs to feed them, but he keeps getting exhausted and they keep getting exhausted. So he's seeking something that is eternal sustenance. And these chips in the movie are the answer to that. They are Salamander Corntooth's Wobble Bobby Bittables, the only chip that guarantees eternal life. That was the plot of the short film. It'll be out online soon. These are movies that I admire. Some of my favorite movies are up here, such as, oh, wow. I had no idea that was there. What a blessing. Right next to my favorite movie, War of the Gargantuans, a great Japanese monster flick from the 60s. One of those movies where the monster is constantly changing size. At one point he's 10 feet tall, another point when he needs to be, when he really needs to be, when the military comes out to get him, he is like 120 feet tall. Also, this one's nice because Unlike a lot of monster movies, there's romance in this one. There's a male and a female monster, and they are in love and they care for each other, which adds some warmth to a cold and dire situation. One of my favorite movies ever, R. Kelly, Trapped in the Closet. This is just chapters 1 through 12. If you haven't seen it, incredible piece of cinema history right here. The greatest shows ever made, Wallace and Gromit. There aren't many episodes of it made, sadly, because the warehouse burned down, as I'm sure you know. But these are valuable and very precious items that I have. One of my favorite authors, Thomas Pynchon, a great psychedelic, kind of absurd author from the 60s and 70s. This is not my favorite book by him. I love Crying of Lot 49. I don't know if it's up here or somewhere else, but I really, really love that. But my favorite book of all time, I'm embarrassed to admit, please don't judge me, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. It's a perfect novel, front to back. If you disagree with me, I hope you've read it. Right next to a Coca-Cola bottle, a broken Yashica, and this Civil War Union soldier. I love figurines. I love dolls. I love them all. This is a street sign. It's actually the result of a car accident. My neighbor found it after a car ran into the pole. It fell on the ground, and so he picked it up. He actually wired it up. And I've rewired it and wired it a couple times so I can get the hand on there and then the person. I really was experimenting with wires more than I should have been, trying to get both the hand and the person at the same time, but I couldn't get it. So I just stuck with the person because it's, you know, saying walk is a little bit nicer than saying stop. So I wanted to encourage movement here. But also, this is kind of the part of the room when people come here that I would rather not people go in, because it's a tight, tiny little kitchen. And so I put kind of obstructing objects here generally to dissuade people from going this way, because it's just too tight and it just gets really messy when people get back there. But this people sign is from an expo where people had a booth and they had this made by the shop nearby. Again, that's like very similar to a lot of the work that I do. And they were throwing it away after, as many of these things do. These productions cause way too much waste. They throw away way too much. And I am standing in the way between productions and waste. I try to take everything I can off of a film set. I try to take food, I put it in the community fridge outside. And if there's a prop, I'll take it. Give me your props. Give me all your props. Give me your supplies. Give me anything. I'll take paper. I'll take clumps of paper because I know that I'll use them someday. And especially this people sign. I love it. This is also, one of the people in the people sign is one of the original Barbies. This Barbie's from 1963. A scene of the out front area painted by one of my best friends, one of my dearest friends, born 4 days before me. Her name is Ellie. She used to live here with me. It was lovely. We were like brother and sister. And she painted this upon her exit, which is a scene of the clothes being hung to dry outside, which is often where I'll dry them in the summer if I run out of space in here. Home to me is a place for constant experimentation. It's a place for constant change, a place where you can move things around and rearrange the facets of your imagination without a paycheck staring you in the face, without a boss telling you what ought to be. It's a place where you can extend your childish nature, the thing that you were born with, into this thing that is constant. It's a place you can return to frequently that's excessively open to your own whims. And it is a constant reflection of your whims. It's a constant reflection of the way that you exist and the very moment that you're in your life, you know, without even saying what in here is representational of this period of my life. I know that there's many things that are very telling of what is happening to me right now in my life. And I love that. I love that you could never be totally in control of kind of showing your face in your home. Me personally, I was raised in a way where my mother was constantly teaching me how to show face in public, you know, not hide anything, bare all. My mom kind of raised me in this way with this simple thesis, you know, the less secrets you have, the less things you have to hide, and so just have no secrets, tell no lies. I operate my home in this manner. It's showing face all the time. You know, I'll sometimes try to clean up and I'll break something, and you know, that will be incredibly telling. This broken thing on the floor, even though I'm trying my best to make my home look perfect, I can't always get there, you know. It is always a constant reflection of what's going on. This is the outside, but this is the community fridge. People leave free things outside of it for other people to take. And inside the fridge, people leave food. We got applesauce, green beans, and some cucumbers right now. This outdoor seating space is really useful in the mid-afternoon if my neighbors want to come have lunch here. It's also very useful in the evening if I have an event. People hang out here. This is my favorite chair, favorite outdoor chair that I have. Beautiful 1960s lawn chair, reclining lawn chair. These are my plants. This fig tree has died every winter for like the past 4 years and then come back again in the summer. I believe in taking some care of my plants, but it's also lovely to see nature work its own course, especially when you leave them outside. This will be my Christmas tree this year. The key to buying a good Christmas tree for me is to buy a bunch of plants for a music video and then return all but one to Home Depot. And then you basically get it for free in the end. This was my friend Sam's car. It's a little Kaufman K car in a way, but it's not actually a K car because it's made in the US. It was an old meter-made vehicle, but it is now out of commission and it's just been here for a little bit. We need to fix it up and get it out soon. This piano used to be inside, started to fall dangerously out of tune. Oh wow. And it's falling even more out of tune as it's out here. But you know, I love watching things decay, and even here it still serves a purpose. People sit on the bench here. Sometimes if I have like a little vendor's market, they'll put their things they want to sell up here. It's a cute display in a way. These are all fake flowers. I love fake flowers. You don't have to do anything to keep them alive, and like the grass, it embodies life, but there's no life at all. Much like this picture of fake flowers as well. Or a picture of real flowers, who knows? This hot dog sign I found in Red Hook. It was outside of a factory, one of these warehouses that kind of house the storage of vendor carts and things like this. They were throwing this away because it was kind of beat up and old. I asked them if I could take it and they said, have at it. So I grabbed it and it's been up here for maybe a couple years now. But I get some people who think that I sell hot dogs and I don't. But maybe I should because it's a perfect advertisement. It also matches the colors of Brothers Wash and Dry. Our team colors here are blue and yellow. Love the colors blue and yellow, in full support of blue and yellow here. Even here, I spray painted this blue and yellow. This is a candy machine. There's no candy in it, but it's really cute and I love it. And so I leave it out here, and unfortunately people ash on it, but you know, what are you gonna do when you leave something outside? People use it as they will. Everything that I have outside, I fully expect to be either messed with or taken at a certain point. Many things have been put out here and then taken shortly after. It's all right. It's the way things go. I expect things to come and I expect things to go, and they do all the time. But this is my corner. This is a plane flying overhead. LaGuardia Airport is right over there. So we're right in the flight path. That's a Delta airline. I get my neighbors sometimes come out here and talk extensively about the flight path because they've lived here so long and they're so bored that they get obsessed with the flight path, and they're like, that's coming from North Carolina. Why they care, why they know, I don't know. But everyone needs a hobby. Sometimes watching planes is your hobby. At night it's lovely. I turn on these lights. and people sit out here, people congregate. My neighbors will come over, we'll have a chat, we'll have a conversation, we'll have a drink or a meal. It's not uncommon for us to kind of be out here, kind of just chattering at around midnight, but it usually ends around then. Try to not have too many late nights here because there's a fine line between being a community space and a party house. And I always want to avoid being a total disruption to the neighborhood. Homeworthy, it's been a pleasure, but I'm tired and I gotta clean. I got an event in T-minus 2 hours. They're gonna be here soon. Please, leave. Tonight, I'm having a party and a show, much like I do every weekend, but this specific one is a sort of fundraiser to keep the space going after I eventually move out, which should be this week. It's been a great place to throw shows and have people, and all I want to do is keep doing that so it can continue on. This is my best friend, Austin. He has been basically doing this with me the entire time that I've been doing the Laundromat. We've put on shows here. We've done 2 like short plays here.
Yeah.
Three.
Yeah.
3 short plays here. We've filmed a variety of like little segments here. We did
a lot of birthday parties here.
We did a podcast for a while.
Yeah.
But definitely a major confidant in the Laundromat narrative.
Yeah, it kind of feels like we grew up here a little bit, or became like young adults after college. The best thing about this place is very simply, there is a sort of energy here that you don't usually find in New York, or at least you haven't found it recently. It's like, you know, you don't really have to be doing anything. You don't have to pay for anything usually, you know. You can just kind of come and make something or talk to someone that you wouldn't usually talk to, like someone in the neighborhood. And the worst part, I would say, about this place is finding
parking.
Finding parking. No, it's probably finding like a cup or something.
That's always the cap problem. It's like when I think about expanding the place or the future of the space too, it's like I have to accept the fact that it will never be bigger than it is.
Yeah, and the biggest problem about this place is that it won't last forever. This place, to me, I feel so lucky to know you and to be here, because it's really like a piece of bygone New York. You know, it's like there are not a lot of places where artists can come together and just sort of like try things out without paying for anything. It's very like old school New York in a really beautiful way, and Samson has done a great job of curating that, and it's really impressive to me, and will like be a part of my life. You know, I'll think back on this place, and you know, I'll think about how I grew up here.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.